Hello and welcome to Run Testers. My name is Nick, and in this video we're going to be comparing the Nike Vomero 17 and the Nike Pegasus 40. So the Vomero 17 and Pegasus 40 are both pretty well cushioned daily trainers within Nike's range. So the Vomero is a fair bit more cushioned and geared more towards easy runs, whereas the Pegasus is viewed a bit more as an all-rounder. There actually is quite a lot of overlap between them, which is why we wanted to compare the two shoes. Pegasus is the cheaper shoe. It's £115 or $130. The Vomero is $160. Not sure on the pound price yet. And the Vomero 17 is coming out this autumn. The Pegasus is already out. The Vomero 17 weighs in at 303 grams or 10.7 ounces in my UK size 9, whereas the Pegasus 40 is 292 grams or 10.3 ounces. Both have a 10mm drop, but the Vomero stack height goes right up towards 40mm at the heel, whereas the Pegasus is 33mm at the heel, so it comes down to 23 at the forefoot. For the design of the Vomero, we've got an engineered mesh upper with lots of padding around the heel, a fairly substantial internal heel counter there, and then sidewalls of foam at the back of the shoe, which helps to make sure it's stable despite the slightly higher stack. You've got a dual density midsole. Top layer is Nike's ZoomX, the best foam in the brand's range, the stuff used on things like the Invincible, the Vaporfly, the Alphafly. Then you've got a Cushlon 3.0 layer of foam underneath. Still fairly soft foam to the touch. It's an EVA foam, and this dual density midsole means you get that softer feeling on top, but overall quite a durable and stable midsole thanks to the Cushlon layer beneath. Then you've got a waffle tread outsole, which is not a full outsole with this gap here, but there's large segments that cover pretty much the most of the bottom half of the shoe, and I wouldn't have any concerns about durability with this. It's a nice thick layer of rubber, and grip's been pretty good for me as well. Pegasus 40 has a mesh upper as well, and it's also got quite a lot of padding around the heel and tongue. Pretty similar design at the back of the shoe to the Vomero all round. The midsole is Nike's React foam with two Air Zoom pods, one under the heel and one under the forefoot. Those add a little bit more pop and energy return to the ride, with React foam being a fairly dull foam, but pretty comfortable and not too heavy, but nothing too exciting there. It's a really durable foam, good workhorse foam for a workhorse shoe like the Pegasus. You've also got the waffle outsole on the Pegasus 40, but slightly different outsole pattern, a bit more rubber coverage, similarly thick layer though, and similarly good durability and grip to the Vomero. Not really much to choose between the two shoes on that front. So I tested out both shoes in my normal size, which is a UK 9, which is a US 10 for Nike. That's my normal size for Nike. I have it pretty much across their entire range, and both of these shoes fit me really well. In that size, really had no concerns at all about the fit. Good amount of room in the forefoot. I don't think it's an especially narrow fit on either shoe, and then you've got good hold around the midfoot and heel as well. So yeah, I would stick to your normal running shoe size with both the Vomero and the Pegasus 40, your normal Nike size. So these are both daily training, cushioned daily training shoes that have similar geometry all round, I'd say, but obviously the Vomero has the higher stack and it has that softer midsole foam, especially on the top there with the layer of ZoomX. It's something that people have actually been asking for in the Pegasus for a while now, ever since the original Pegasus Turbo, which had a dual density midsole with ZoomX over React foam. I will say now that the Vomero is not like the Pegasus Turbo. It's a much heavier, less responsive shoe, geared much more towards easy running, but it does a very good job of that. It's really soft and comfortable underfoot thanks to that ZoomX foam, and having that layer does give it a little edge on the Pegasus with its slightly more standard midsole that's made of that React foam. Both of them have a fairly similar ride though, which is it's a fairly flat ride. There's not a lot of rocker going on with either shoe. You get a bit of snap through when you're running at pace, but nothing too smooth and flowing. It's quite a traditional feel with both shoes. The Vomero's extra comfort is particularly noticeable on long runs under the forefoot, where you've just got a substantially higher stack of foam than the Pegasus under the forefoot, with the softer ZoomX foam on top there. As someone who heel strikes snaps through onto my forefoot, it was really noticeable how much more comfortable the Vomero was on runs, going beyond 20k or so. It's not that the Pegasus 40 is uncomfortable, but just got a lot less foam under the forefoot, and it's a slightly firmer foam, so you do feel the ground a bit more, and I just prefer the more comfortable feel of the Vomero for those long runs when you're looking just for a nice relaxed easy pace. The Pegasus is still soft at the heel though, and when I was running in both shoes at the same time, it actually surprised me how soft and comfortable it felt underfoot. You'd think the Vomero would be a massive step up in comfort because of the ZoomX foam there and the higher stack, but it's actually not that big a step up. It certainly is a bit softer, and that is noticeable under the forefoot, like I say, but overall Pegasus is still certainly a very comfortable shoe just for mooching around in on easy runs. Versatility wise, I'd say the Pegasus has a little bit more snap to it. You get a slightly faster transition from the shoe when you're running quickly, and I think it firms up a little bit more underfoot in quite a good way. It's not giving you a lot of bounce back, but it does turn over fairly quickly, so you can do faster efforts in it. But then the Vomero probably gives you a little bit more back in terms of the amount of bounce you get underfoot because of the ZoomX foam in the midsole there. So if I was looking at it, breaking it down to like short, hard efforts, I'd probably think the Pegasus is a slightly better shoe for them because it's a bit lighter, it's got that firmer feeling, it feels like you can turn your legs over really nicely. But if you're looking at sustaining a good pace over longer distances, the Vomero has the edge there because it does give you that little bit more bounce and it is a bit more comfortable. And they've both got good outsoles and uppers. I haven't really got any complaints to them there. I think the Vomero runs slightly hotter than the Pegasus, and neither of them are the coolest, most breathable shoes. Like, it's not a problem here in the UK at all, but if you live in a very hot and humid environment, then maybe the Vomero in particular might start to feel a bit hot. But overall, I'd say they're about par on both of those things, and they both feel similarly stable to me as well. Like, the Vomero's got that soft foam and it's a higher shoe, but it doesn't feel unstable to me at all. Like, it's got a fairly wide base, it's got the sidewalls of foam at the heel, and I didn't have any problems with stability myself. I am a neutral runner though, I will say that. And the Pegasus is also quite naturally stable thanks to that firmer React foam in the midsole and the relatively low profile compared to something like the Vomero. So no concerns on those fronts with either shoe. So on the verdict, I slightly prefer the ride feel of the Vomero myself. If you're looking at these purely as cushioned shoes, mainly for daily training and easy runs, I think you get a slightly softer, more comfortable ride from the Vomero, especially under the forefoot. And when it comes to long runs, I think the difference between them is a bit bigger. If you're in marathon training, regularly clocking up like 20k runs, that kind of thing, I much prefer the Vomero for those compared to the Pegasus. Same time, if most of your easy runs are going to be 5 miles, 10k, that kind of thing, then the Pegasus will do just as good a job of those for sure. And overall, there's not a huge difference between the two shoes in general, while the Pegasus is a fair bit cheaper. So that is obviously a big plus point for the Pegasus, that it is coming in a fair bit cheaper. If you're looking for a do-it-all shoe and you're planning to do lots of speed work in it and you realise you can have one shoe in your rotation, then the Nike Pegasus 40 is probably the more versatile shoe. It's got slightly better balance of weight and stack height that make it a bit more nimble for speed work while still having enough comfort for long stuff. If you're looking for the comfortable cruiser of a shoe that you're just going to use for easy runs, then it would be the Vomero myself. Would say though there's so much overlap between these two shoes and how I think they work, I probably wouldn't buy these two in a rotation together. If you're going to get the Vomero, I'd then get a much lighter, nimbler shoe as your speedwork shoe, or even a plated trainer. If you are going to get the Pegasus, I think you're quite well covered for an easy day shoe as well there, so I wouldn't necessarily go out and get the Vomero as well. That's how I position them. You've got a little bit more versatility from the Pegasus and it is still comfortable, but the Vomero is the softer shoe, the better shoe for long runs. It's got that ZoomX foam there, but don't come in expecting a very lively, responsive ride just because it's got a bit of ZoomX foam there. This isn't the Pegasus Turbo reincarnated. It's a really nice cushion shoe for easy and long runs, but it's not as spectacularly soft as something like the Invincible, which has obviously got so much ZoomX in the midsole, it ends up being a bit wobbly. It's a more balanced shoe than that, but at the same time, it hasn't really got the punch of something like the Pegasus Turbo, which had ZoomX foam as well. So I do think it's a fairly versatile cushion shoe, but the Pegasus is that little bit more versatile. The Vomero is more for those easy and long runs. So that's a comparison of the Pegasus and the Vomero 17. Let us know which of these you rate more highly, which you'd rather have as your daily trainer. Please do like, subscribe, and ring the little bell, and we will see you next time on the channel.